"Sorry, sir, but seat 1A is not for you." The air froze. That sentence was not just a refusal, it was a blade, silently slicing through the polished curtain of luxury draped across the cabin. Eyes paused briefly, then darted away, as if the presence of Damien Cole, a black man in his 50s, dressed in a tailored navy suit and Italian leather shoes, was an inconvenience to be erased. Slowly, Damien adjusted his silver tie, the gift his mother gave him on the day his company reached $1 billion in revenue. His eyes glimmered with calm light, though inside, waves churned. He did not shout. He did not argue. His voice stayed measured. "I purchased this seat 3 weeks ago." The flight attendant's polite smile betrayed hesitation in her eyes. In that brief instant, Damien read an entire verdict. "You do not belong here." He knew that feeling too well. The long silence, the averted glances, the quiet breaths that reeked of prejudice. The chill in the cabin seeped through the fabric of his suit and into his bones. Passengers walking past avoided his gaze, as if even a glance could delay the flight by minutes. A man with graying hair muttered under his breath, "What a nuisance." A young woman clutched her handbag closer, careful not to let it brush his leg. In their world, he was nothing but a misplaced passenger. None of them knew the tablet in his hand held the draft of a $580 million contract with the Department of Homeland Security. None of them imagined his company, Cole Secure Technologies, was preparing to sign a historic deal. But to them, the only thing that mattered was this: a black man sitting in seat 1A. A booming voice came from behind. "You're in the wrong seat." Damien looked up. A man in a charcoal suit with frayed cuffs blocked the aisle, his face flushed with self-assurance. Pierce Harlan, a diamond, class regular, who considered seat 1A his unshakable throne. "I sit here every week, for 5 years, Harlan declared. "Everybody knows that." Damien gripped the armrest lightly. "Perhaps. But today I am the one who paid." The cabin shuddered with silence. Hidden eyes watched, waiting for the drama to ignite. The attendant hurried off and returned with Chief Flight Attendant Carla Wynne. Her voice was soft, but each word pierced Damien's pride like a needle. "Mr. Harlan is one of our Diamond members. This is difficult, please, sir. Take seat 2D while we resolve this." Damien stared back. "No. I will sit in the seat I purchased." The word struck like a counterattack. He brushed past them and sat firmly in 1A, eyes turned toward the window. Calm, unyielding. 5 minutes later, Captain Ethan Ward appeared. His deep, commanding voice carried the weight of authority. "Mr. Cole, I've been told you are not cooperating. This is your last chance. Either leave the seat or be removed from the plane." He did not ask for a ticket. He did not check the facts. He only looked at Harlan, then at Damien, and the decision was already made. Damien inhaled deeply. In his mind, scenarios flashed. The billion-dollar contract, passengers' cameras, tomorrow's headline about a black man dragged from first class. He placed his hand on his case and rose slowly. Not as surrender, but as another strategy. As he stepped down the aisle, one glance caught his attention. A woman in her 30s, her phone tilted discreetly. She did not write. She did not smile. She simply recorded the truth. Damien's chest tightened. He knew that clip would carry farther than any defense he could give. He sat down in seat 6C. The space was cramped, suffocating. A plastic cup of water was placed on the tray, like an empty consolation. Around him, passengers avoided his gaze. Silent complicity, the same he had seen all his life. Through the small window, the grey sky bled into streaks of blue, like a mirror reflecting the humiliation he had swallowed. But deep in his chest, a fire burned. This time, there would be consequences. Captain Ward did not know. He owed his life to Damien. 20 years ago, under a storm of bullets in Iraq, Damien had saved a base from collapsing, saved the very man who now stripped him of his dignity. Ward might command the cabin, but Damien Cole, who once turned death into life with a keyboard and his mind, would turn humiliation into justice. And this time, nothing could stop him. The business-class cabin was silent, but in Damien Cole's mind, the past thundered like a sandstorm. Seat 6C was cramped, his knees pressed into the seat back ahead, a cruel arrangement meant to remind him that a place he had earned with sweat, blood, and intellect could be taken away in an instant. He stared out the window, but the sky was not what he saw. Memories flooded back. Iraq, April 2003. Hot sand whipping his face, the shriek of alarms, the earth trembling under relentless bombardment. Damien was 28 then, a signals operations technician, not a front-line rifleman, but the lives of his unit rested on his shoulders. The servers had been breached, communications blacked out, cameras frozen, lights gone. The enemy was using their own signals to triangulate positions. Damien plunged into the command tent, smoke choking the air. A comrade unconscious, blood spreading on the sand. He had no time to think. He jammed cables into auxiliary systems, hammered at the keys. His shirt was soaked with sweat, his arm nicked by shrapnel, yet he did not stop. 19 minutes. Just 19 minutes. Damien rewired the system, cut the enemy out, seized back control. In the next 5 minutes, he restored comms and passed coordinates to Allied artillery. 70. 3 lives were saved. Only 1 was lost. Damien never called himself a hero, but he knew that day changed everything. Among the survivors was a blonde corporal, square, jawed with a southern drawl, the man who had slapped his back and joked, "Tech wizard." That man now wore a pilot's uniform and stood on the bridge of authority in this same cabin. Captain Ethan Ward. Damien's hands clenched the armrests until his knuckles blanched. He felt the irony of fate. 20 years earlier, he had kept Ward alive. 20 years later, Ward demeaned him with a single command. No shouting was necessary, no slogans. The fact was cold and simple. In war, they called him savior. In today's commercial skies, they treated him as a misplaced passenger. This was no longer merely personal humiliation. It was proof of a system so entrenched that even those who owed him their lives could not see his dignity. Around Damien, no one spoke. A middle-aged man continued to read his paper, pretending not to notice. A young woman wore headphones, her eyes averted. Those looks hurt more than any insult, because they delivered a collective verdict, silent complicity. A slow, smouldering anger rose in him, like embers buried for years. It did not erupt into flames. It burned quietly, steadily, refusing to be snuffed out. In a breathless moment, Damien reached into his jacket and touched a small photograph. His mother, Evelyn Cole, smiled gently in a plain dress, her hand on his shoulder as a boy. She had worked as a cleaner at the airport, her shoes worn at the heels, yet her voice had always been proud. Never let them fool you into thinking you are lesser. You were born enough. That image cooled the surge in him. She had been gone for years, but her words never faded. Amid the averted eyes, there was one gaze fixed on him. Different. A young flight attendant, slim, hair neatly tied. Her almond eyes did not just look at him. They pierced through the pain he tried to hide. Damien read a flicker of hesitation there. Not contempt, not indifference, but regret. She looked away. Yet that look planted a seed of hope, the possibility that someone within the system could still admit wrongdoing. Damien leaned his head back on the seat. The drone of the engines became a soundtrack to racing thoughts. He did not need to shout. He did not need to argue. He would do what he always did. Observe quietly. Gather data. Wait for the moment to act. Just as in that Iraqi desert, when he turned a broken base into an impregnable fortress, today he would turn this humiliation into a punishment for an entire system. And this time, their silence would no longer be their weapon. It would become his. The business-class cabin vibrated as the plane cut through a grey layer of clouds, the engines droning like a drumbeat before a play about to erupt. Damien Cole sat still in 6C, his body present, but his mind suspended between anger and memory. He could hear the muffled laughter from first class, the clink of crystal glasses, the sound of entitlement assumed as a birthright, while he, the man who had once saved dozens of lives amid gunfire, had been reduced to a cramped anonymous seat. As the beverage cart rolled past, Damien caught the young flight attendant's eyes again. She paused, hesitant, her face bright, almond eyes sharp, her voice soft as wind. "Mr. Cole," she whispered, as if afraid someone might overhear. I am sorry about what happened." Damien looked up, his gaze cold but curious. "You saw everything?" She nodded, fingers tight on the cart handle. "I was standing by the curtain. I heard and I saw. I wish I had done more." Damien said nothing. He did not need pity. Yet her voice was not pity, but genuine remorse. Their eyes met, and for a moment Damien glimpsed a girl in a field hospital in Mosul, 20 years earlier, hair tied crooked, a small hand gripping the packet of strawberry gum he had once given. Her father then was a Korean technical officer, lying on a cot with a white bandage across his chest. Damien tilted his head. "What is your name?" "Minji Park," she answered, hesitant as if her name itself might be dangerous. A rush of memory hit Damien, his heart quickening. He murmured, "The little girl with the strawberry gum." Minji's eyes widened, her breath caught. You are the soldier who saved our camp?" Damien only nodded. In the crowded cabin, An invisible thread connected two people who had seemed strangers. Minji swallowed, leaned closer, and lowered her voice to a whisper. They planned it ahead. If Mr. Harlan is on board, seat 1A must be given up. I heard them talking in the prep room. A cold shiver ran down Damien's spine. Not a mistake, not a system error, but a conspiracy. "And you stayed silent?" he asked, his voice low, not accusing but passing a quiet judgment. Tears shimmered in Minji's eyes. "I was afraid. I've only been here 3 years. If I stood up, I'd lose my job. I chose silence." A flash of disappointment crossed Damien. Then he realized the truth she'd just given him was more valuable than any excuse. He looked out the window where pale blue sky emerged beyond the clouds and heard his mother's voice in memory. "You were born enough, but enough is never easy." Silence had once been his strategy, but Minji's silence was complicity. That fragile difference separated victim from accomplice. Before she walked away, Minji pressed a hand on the cart, squeezed once. "I know sorry is not enough, but I want you to know, not all of us agree. One day, I will speak up." Damien's gaze hardened and softened at once. That day will not be far. When it comes, make sure you do not stay silent. She nodded and pushed the cart, vanishing behind the curtain. But the trace of their exchange lingered in the air, a piece of evidence, a witness, a link now set in motion. Damien leaned back and closed his eyes, but his right hand had already slipped to the leather case under the seat. Inside was not only the government contract. Beneath the papers lay a compact device that looked like a power bank, a wireless packet interceptor. A smile flickered across his face. If they had turned 1A into a weapon of exclusion, he would turn their own Wi-Fi into a counterstrike. The plane trembled gently, as if the sky itself was holding back a secret. Damien Cole drew a slow breath, his gaze fixed on the compact device hidden beneath the tray table. To anyone else, it looked like an ordinary power bank, but in truth, it was a replica of a silent weapon he had once developed for the Pentagon, a Wi-Fi signal interceptor with a 40-foot range designed to capture packets, decode them, and pry open what others believed was private. He pressed the button. The LED blinked once, then faded. Connected. His tablet screen lit up, lines of code unfurling against the dark interface like electric veins. One by one, the signals appeared. The flight attendant's iPad, passengers' phones, the crew's tablets. He ignored the chatter of private texts. What he wanted was the crew's internal messaging app, Flightline. Supposedly discreet, but riddled with a fatal flaw. In seconds, he was in. Messages surfaced, time-stamped 2 hours before takeoff. Carla Wynn, the lead attendant. "Heads up, Harlan is on board today. Keep 1A open for him as usual." Blake Mason, senior attendant. "Copy. Who's in the seat now?" "Carla. Name's Cole. Black, about 50. Looks like a business class passenger slipped into 1A. Blake. Gross. Don't make a scene. If needed, Captain Ward will cover like always. Carla. Yeah. Pray it doesn't blow up. Each word cut into Damien like a blade. No accident, no error. This was policy, a system so ingrained it had become tradition. His grip on the tablet tightened, knuckles white, but his hand didn't shake. Not rage, but cold clarity. This was evidence, indisputable, irreversible. The entire system had unmasked itself. Polite smiles, empty apologies, all a thin disguise over the same brutal truth. His dignity had never been recognized. He glanced around. The business cabin remained buried in screens, passengers scrolling news and games, blind by choice. The silence of complicity. Yet one pair of eyes lingered, Minji Park's. She paused mid-aisle, gaze catching the glow of his tablet. Hesitation flickering between fear of exposure and a fragile hope that he would act where she could not. Damien's fingers flew. He encrypted the logs, backed them up in 3 separate vaults, then dispatched a copy to the only person he trusted completely. Tara Mensah, his COO. The subject line was stark. Begin dossier. It's real. Nothing more. Nothing needed. Tara would know that brevity meant the storm was already here. Closing the tablet, Damien leaned back, the hum of the engines steady in his ears. Outside, clouds stretched endless and silent, a white desert. Inside him, fire roared. Harlan could sip champagne in 1A. Carla and Blake might think they had preserved their custom. Ward could believe he had silenced a problem passenger. But none of them understood. They had just signed their own judgment. Damien shut his eyes, letting the engine's drone lull his body, even as his mind sharpened. This was no longer about a seat, a flight, or one man's humiliation. This was a campaign, a systemic reckoning. They thought they had pushed a black man into a lesser seat. The truth was, he held the shears, ready to cut through the rot that had festered inside an entire airline. The plane sliced through thick clouds, the fuselage shuddering. Yet Damien Cole did not waver. To his eyes, the decoded chat logs were not just evidence. They were a fuse, one he had waited years to ignite. He folded the tablet shut, slipped the compact device into his jacket pocket, his face calm, as though reviewing a contract. But in his mind, Damien whispered 3 words: Protocol Scarlet. As the plane leveled at cruising altitude, he opened his encrypted communication app, typed a string of characters only one man would understand. The dark screen flickered. A deep, gravelly voice, roughened by cigarettes, answered after a few rings. Cole, it's been a long time. I thought you retired. Not quite, Damien replied evenly. It's time for the final game. On the other end was Caleb Rourke, an old comrade from the military, a signals expert, the man who had once covered Damien's back in bloody campaigns. Now he ran a discreet security consultancy. In truth, a network that exposed rotting systems. We're talking Scarlet? Caleb's tone dropped. Full activation, Damien said simply. Target, Aerolux Airlines. Focus on internal structure, culture, supply chain, security. Silence for a few seconds. Then Caleb chuckled softly, not with humor, but with the recognition of a soldier hearing war drums. Understood. I'll need 2 hours to spin up the network. You always did prefer the long game, didn't you? Yes. We don't fire the shot. We let them trip over their own stones. Damien ended the call, then sent another message. A name flashed. Naomi Kwan. Once a systems architect for Aerolux, She had uncovered major flaws in hiring practices and DEI reports. In return, her career had been destroyed, her record smeared. No airline would touch her. The screen pulsed. A line appeared. "Damien, I knew this day would come." He typed, "I need every piece of data you kept. Audit reports. Internal emails. Especially the ones never released." Naomi's reply was almost instant. "I never deleted them. They thought they silenced me. Their biggest mistake." Damien sat straighter, inhaling deeply. Everything was coming back, like that night in Iraq when he coded through smoke and chaos. But this time, the enemy was not missiles in the desert. The enemy sat in this very cabin, sipping champagne in seat 1A, reclining like a self-proclaimed king. In his mind, Damien saw it clearly. Aerolux would not just lose a contract. They would lose their crown, their public trust, the empire they thought unshakable. In that charged moment, his eyes caught Minji Parks. She stood by the curtain, pretending to check her notebook, but her furtive glance betrayed unease. Damien knew she had seen more than she should. She could be a witness or a betrayer. Instead of fear, he gave a slight nod, a silent message. "Choose the truth." Minji trembled, then pressed her lips together, a small gesture of agreement. The intercom crackled. Captain Ward's rigid voice filled the cabin. "We will be landing in Atlanta at 10:17 a.m. Please remain seated and enjoy the flight." Damien closed his eyes. He heard Ward's voice and overlaid it with memory. Iraq, smoke, blood, signals restored, a life saved. The man who owed him his survival now treated him as expendable. Damien whispered, only for himself, "This time, Ward, there will be nowhere left to hide." At the same moment, Caleb Rourke began spinning the network. Naomi Kwan unpacked buried files, and Tara Mensah opened an email with the chilling subject line, "Start the file. It's real." A secret machine stirred awake, gears long dormant grinding to life. Every cog turned, slowly but inexorably. The airplane flew steady in the sky. But beneath the surface, an entire airline had already begun to fracture. The plane touched down in Atlanta, beneath the pale gold of morning light. The wheels screeched against the runway. But Damien Cole heard nothing. In his mind there was only one sound, the hiss of data coursing through circuits, the crash of truth colliding with walls of deceit. He stepped off the cabin like any ordinary traveler, suitcase wheels clicking on the ground, but inside he was no longer the humiliated man of seat 6C. He was the one holding the key to the downfall of an airline empire. In the arrivals hall, a concierge in a black suit approached, speaking softly. "Mr. Cole, someone would like to see you immediately." Damien narrowed his eyes. "Who?" "Gregory Hale, CEO of Aerolux Airlines. He's waiting in the VIP lounge." A faint smile crossed Damien's lips, quicker than I expected. The VIP lounge was quiet, filled with the scent of polished oak and bourbon. Gregory Hale, a man in his 60s with slicked back silver hair, rose from a leather chair as Damien entered. "Damien," Hale extended his hand, his voice smooth with feigned warmth. "Thank you for making the time. I hope I can make up for the inconvenience this morning." Damien shook his hand, his eyes cold. "You call that an inconvenience?" Hale smiled as though long practiced at masking unease with gentlemanly charm. Perhaps dinner would make for easier conversation. I want this settled quietly, without a fuss in the press. The fuss didn't come from me, Damien said slowly. It came from the culture you created. They sat across from each other at a small table. Hale ordered bourbon. Damien asked only for water. The amber liquid swirled in Hale's glass, reflecting the golden light, but his smile never reached his eyes. Listen, Hale lowered his voice. I know what you're holding, and I also know you're smart enough to understand that every major corporation has certain flexibilities in customer policy. We can find a compromise. Aerolux is prepared to fund scholarships, even partner directly with your firm. Numbers large enough to make us both satisfied. Damien raised a brow. Compromise? He set the glass of water down, his voice cutting sharp. So you think systemic humiliation is just a number to be negotiated? Hale gripped his glass tighter, a flash of irritation in his eyes. Don't be naive. The world runs on interests, not feelings. You don't want to risk that $580 million contract on the table, do you? I can guarantee it goes through smoothly if you know when to step back. Damien locked eyes with him, and suddenly a memory surged. A scholarship interview 30 years ago. He was a hopeful young man from Louisiana, clutching his file, his heart full of dreams. And sitting across the table was this very man, Gregory Hale, the one who uttered words that rerouted his life. You have potential, but your style doesn't fit our culture. We need more refined faces. A bitter smile curled on Damien's lips. I remember you. You were the reason I lost the Jefferson Scholarship. You shut me out of college and pushed me into the military. And do you know what? That decision made me who I am today. Hale faltered, his polished mask cracking. That was a different time. I didn't think you'd remember. I remember every word, Damien said slowly, his voice like a gavel striking. And now here you are again, with the same face, the same thinking. You've never changed. You've only learned to hide it better. Hale slammed his glass down so hard, the bourbon spilled. What do you want, Cole? Money? A seat at the table? I can give you everything, but if you choose to fight, both you and your company will pay. Damien rose, his face illuminated like stone under the lights. You are mistaken. I don't want your money. I don't want hollow prestige. I want to watch the system you built on arrogance collapse under its own weight. Hale sat silent, lips pressed tight, eyes narrowed like a man who sees the storm coming but cannot stop it. Damien adjusted his tie, leaving him with final words. This battle won't be at the dinner table. It will be out there, in the open. And this time, you won't hide behind a smile. He walked out, leaving Gregory Hale frozen in his chair, staring at a half-empty glass of bourbon, like an aging king, realizing for the first time that his throne was trembling. The ballroom of the Ritz. Carlton roared with restless noise. Cameras panned, microphones stood tall. Dozens of journalists pressed shoulder to shoulder, flashes bursting in rapid fire. Rumors of a surprise press conference from Cole Secure Technologies had drawn every kind of face. Financial reporters, social bloggers, even political analysts. Everyone knew something big was coming. Behind the velvet curtain, Damien Cole stood still, his hand brushing the silver cufflinks at his wrists. They were not lavish jewels, but a gift his mother once bought from a thrift shop when he signed his very first government contract. A keepsake that reminded him true power was never in luxury, but in lasting value. "We go live in 60 seconds, COO Tara Mensah whispered. Her gaze was steady, needing no further words. Damien nodded. No nerves, only focus. At exactly 9 o'clock, Damien stepped out. The room fell instantly silent, broken only by the clicking of cameras. He stood at the podium, his deep voice carrying clear. "Good morning. I will not waste your time. I am here to announce a decision." He paused, his eyes sweeping across the hall. Each silence felt like a hammer driving deeper into the hearts of those waiting. Cole Secure Technologies is officially terminating the $580 million contract with Aerolux Airlines. The decision takes effect immediately. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Keys clattered furiously. Lenses zoomed tight on his face. Damien continued, his tone firmer. "We will not stand with a corporation that has turned prejudice into customer policy, that has treated Schulz as its ally. No deal, no number could ever make me close my eyes to that truth." The room exploded into chaos. Questions fired, voices shouting, breaths sharp. A reporter called out, "Do you have proof?" Damien tilted his head slightly. "Yes, and at the right moment, you will see it." Then his voice rose, stronger. "But today I am not here only to withdraw. I am here to announce a new direction." The side doors opened. Spotlights fell on a woman in a white suit, her stride graceful, yet her eyes unwavering. Samantha Cho, CEO of Titan Air, Aerolux's fiercest rival. The room erupted, cameras nearly bursting from the frenzy. Samantha shook Damien's hand on stage. He spoke. "Today, I am proud to announce a strategic alliance between Cole Secure Technologies and Titan Air, not just to advance aviation security systems, but to set a new standard, honor and fairness as prerequisites, not options." Applause broke out, this time genuine, strong, relentless. At that moment, headlines blazed across phones everywhere. Cole Secure cancels record deal. Aerolux shaken. Titan Air seizes billion-dollar partnership. New declaration of war in aviation. Black CEO turns humiliation into revolution. Damien looked out at the press rows, seeing some reporters nod in approval. He knew this was only the opening strike. The real storm waited outside. After the conference, Samantha lingered, leaning close. "You know, Titan has a wall of honor at our Atlanta headquarters, not just for executives or pilots, but for cleaners and maintenance staff, too. I think you should come see it." Damien blinked with quiet surprise, then nodded. In his heart, memories of his mother rose again, the woman who scrubbed airport restrooms to raise him, her worn shoes breaking at the heel, her pride unshaken. Perhaps her picture too hung quietly on that wall, telling another story of legacy. That night, when the flashes faded, Damien sat alone in his hotel room. On the table lay his tablet, the chat logs still open. The evidence was ready. Aerolux thought the story ended at seat 1A, but the truth was, it had only just begun. He lifted a glass of water, stared into the mirror, and in his mind whispered, "Silence has always been their weapon. But this time, silence will be my punishment. The morning after the press conference, before the sun had climbed high, a video clip appeared on a small social justice blog. No logo, no cheap headline, just a cold title. This is what silent discrimination at 30,000 feet looks like. The clip lasted only 37 seconds. The shaky frame showed Damien Cole sitting in seat 1A, boarding pass still in his hand. Victor Harlan loomed beside him, face flushed red, finger pointing. The flight attendant fumbled, her voice trembling. "Please cooperate. This is our diamond customer." Then Captain Ethan Ward appeared, his tone flat and cold. "This is not a request. Either you move down to business, or you will be removed from the plane." The camera panned briefly. A woman pretending to sleep, a man hiding behind a newspaper. Silence. And finally, Damien stood, gathered his bag, and quietly walked away, while Harlan casually slid into seat 1A. The clip ended in silence, but the internet handled the rest. Within 4 hours, the video surpassed 2 million views. By noon, it was on the front page of 5 major newspapers. That evening, it appeared on thousands of TikTok and Reels accounts, tagged with the hashtag #ItWasJustASeat. But the public understood. It was not just a seat. It was a mirror reflecting an uncomfortable truth, a system designed to give seats to those who fit and remove those who did not. Before the uproar could settle, an anonymous account released screenshots of internal emails. "Diamond Priority Flex. Guarantee seat 1A for high. Value customers regardless of prior booking. If conflict arises, escalate to captain support." Then came a leaked HR report. 5 black employees who had filed complaints about irregular seat arrangements were all terminated within 3 months. A line highlighted in red screamed, "Continued employment will pose a reputation risk." That phrase quickly became a meme, printed on T-shirts, splashed across protest banners. Reputation risk flooded social media. That night, Damien received an encrypted message. The sender, Elisha Ray. She had once been a flight attendant at Aerolux, terminated 6 months earlier for disrupting procedures. In the audio recording she sent, her voice was shaky yet firm. "Mr. Cole, I know you don't remember me, but I was in seat 5D that flight. I filmed the clip, and I kept it, waiting for the day their lies grew big enough for me to release it. That day has come." Damien froze. He had thought the clip came from a random passenger, but in truth, it was the hand of someone once crushed by the very system itself, a ghost from seat 5D who finally decided to stay silent no more. Within 24 hours, Aerolux stock dropped 16%. 2 major funds froze their capital. The Federal Aviation Administration announced an investigation into seat reassignment procedures. Meanwhile, Titan Air, Aerolux's rival newly allied with Damien, soared 11% in a single day. The contrast struck like a slap across Gregory Hale's face. That night, Damien sat in his hotel suite, the city lights spilling through the window. On the screen before him were thousands of comments, millions of shares. He did not smile, did not revel. He knew loud revenge was easy. But collapse insolence cut deepest, and now Aerolux was crumbling under the weight of its own silence. Damien took a sip of water, eyes gazing far. Within him was not just anger, but conviction. This time, the legacy was not a first-class seat. It was a lesson for an entire industry. 3 days after the 7-second video spread, Aerolux Airlines' Chicago headquarters was drowning in chaos. Dozens of reporters surrounded the glass tower. Banners reading "It wasn't just a seat" blocked the entrance. Employees walked in with tense faces, dodging cameras, not daring to look straight at the lenses. In the boardroom on the 30th floor, CEO Gregory Hale sat motionless. Shares had just lost another 12%. 5 executives had submitted resignations. The Federal Aviation Administration had formally opened an investigation into discrimination in seat assignment and priority customer handling. A man once arrogant now shrank behind glass walls, watching his empire crumble brick by brick. That afternoon, Hale called Damien Cole. His voice was hoarse, weary. "Damien, listen to me. We can settle. I'll resign. Aerolux will pay compensation. Please don't push this further." On the other end, Damien was silent for a few beats, then answered, voice low, each word heavy as lead. "You don't understand. This was never personal between you and me. This is about the system you built, and that system must be exposed." Hale pleaded, "You're destroying thousands of jobs." "No," Damien cut in. "You did that, sir, when you turned discrimination into policy. I only pulled back the curtain so everyone could see." The call ended. Hale collapsed into his chair, hands trembling. He knew this was a game already lost. While Aerolux descended into turmoil, Damien met with his inner circle at a temporary headquarters in Atlanta. Tara Mensah spread a report across the table, bold numbers staring back. Titan Air up 18% market share in 70. 2 hours. Aerolux down nearly 40% in valuation. Naomi Kwan, once blacklisted by Aerolux, spoke firmly. "We have the chance to do more, not just expose. We can rewrite the rules." Damien nodded. He opened his briefcase and pulled out a thick 9-page document, navy cover, bold letters on the front. Charter for Human Dignity in Corporate Practice. "This isn't a slogan," he said. "This is a standard. Every partner that wants to work with Cole Secure must sign. Not just Titan. Everyone." The atmosphere in the room shifted. No longer just a counterattack. This was the beginning of a movement. The next day, Samantha Cho, CEO of Titan Air, was the first to sign. She looked up and declared, "We've always said, we wanted a fairer airline industry. Today we prove it's not just words." News spread fast. 3 logistics firms and an international software provider followed suit. Social pressure forced others to act. The hashtag Dignity Charter spread across the internet. Workers shared it. Customers supported it. A week later, major news broke. The US Senate announced the draft of the Silent Exclusion Prevention Act. The bill required transparency in all seat changes, protections for whistleblowers, and heavy fines for repeat offenders. At a Washington press briefing, a reporter asked, "Mr. Cole, how does it feel knowing your experience led to federal reform?" Damien's voice was steady, resonant. "This is not just my experience. It is the voice of everyone who was ever forced into silence. Today, silence has a price, and we will no longer pay it." The next day, Media outlets all carried the same story. Gregory Hale resigned. The photograph of him leaving Aerolux headquarters, face hollow, was captured by dozens of cameras. A man who once decided who was worthy of seat 1A was now left with no seat at all. That night, Damien returned to his apartment. He opened a drawer and took out the old handkerchief his mother had once given him, embroidered with the letter E for Evelyn. He whispered, "Mother, they've seen it now. Not me, but all the people you always believed were born enough." Outside, the Atlanta sky blazed with light, and for the first time in decades, Damien felt the humiliation he had once swallowed transform into a legacy. A legacy not his alone, but one shared by millions. 3 months after the scandal, the American airline industry was no longer the same. Carriers across the country had adopted the Charter for Human Dignity. Congress had passed the Silent Exclusion Prevention Act. Aerolux was in free fall, and Titan Air had risen as the new symbol. In the middle of the media storm, Damien Cole chose silence. He did not appear on talk shows. He did not answer interviews. Instead, he sat in his office, by the window overlooking Atlanta, bathed in sunset, his hand turning through the clauses of the charter he had set in motion. The doorbell rang. His assistant said, "There is a woman who wishes to see you. She says her name is Minji Park." Minji entered, no longer in her flight attendant uniform. Her hair fell naturally, her face tense. In her hand was a small cloth bag. "Thank you for seeing me," she said, her voice trembling but resolute. Damien nodded and gestured for her to sit. She took a deep breath, then slowly pulled out an object, a white handkerchief, its edges slightly worn, an E embroidered in the corner. Damien froze. His heart tightened. "My mother's handkerchief," Minji nodded, eyes glistening. 10 years ago, at this very airport, I was only 19. I was lost, exhausted, crying alone. A black woman, small and gentle, sat beside me. She did not say much. She simply gave me this handkerchief, wiped my tears, then handed me some candy and said, "You were born enough." Her voice cracked. "I didn't know she was your mother until I saw her picture hanging at Titan. I kept the handkerchief all these years as a talisman. That day on the plane, when I saw your name, I knew the truth, and I knew I had to return it." Damien held the handkerchief, his hand trembling. The image of his mother, Evelyn Cole, came vividly alive, the woman who once scrubbed airport floors, quietly planting hope in a stranger's heart. Now, that seed had bloomed, circling back like destiny fulfilled. He whispered, "My mother always believed that sometimes the smallest act could change someone's life. You are proof." Minji bowed her head, tears falling. "I'm sorry for the silence I kept that day. But in the end, I did not remain silent." Damien met her eyes, his voice firm. "None of us are perfect. What matters is the moment we choose to stand on the right side. And you did." She hesitated, then placed a small USB on the desk. "I was not only a witness, I was the one who helped spread the video. Elisha Ray filmed it, but I hid the trail and released it at the right time. I did not want my name out there. I only wanted the truth to be seen." Damien was silent for a moment, then smiled faintly. "Then you and I share something in common. We do not need noise. We only need results. A week later, Damien boarded another flight. Titan Air. His boarding pass read, Seat 1C, not 1A. He had chosen 1C, the seat where his mother once sat in a waiting lounge, watching the world leave and return. He opened his bag, took out the handkerchief, and placed it neatly on the table. Not to wipe tears, but as a reminder. Dignity does not come from where you sit, but from how you rise. The flight attendant's voice came. "Mr. Cole, would you like something to drink?" Damien smiled. "Just water. And one more thing, remember this, no passenger is ever out of place in this cabin." She nodded, her smile warm. And as the plane soared into the blue sky, Damien leaned back, eyes gently closed. For the first time in many years, he felt peace. In this world, people often believe power lies in a first-class ticket, in the numbers of a contract, or in the title of a diamond customer. But the story of Damien Cole shows us a different truth. Real power lies in the choice to remain silent, or to raise your voice. A seat is not just a place to sit. It can become a symbol of exclusion, or it can stand as proof of change. Aerolux did not collapse because one man was humiliated. It collapsed because that system underestimated the weight of his silence. Damien's silence was not surrender, it was strategy. And when the moment came, he let the truth speak for him. His legacy does not rest in Seat 1A. It lives in Seat 1C, where his mother once sat, humble yet proud, where she planted in him the belief, "You were born enough." And now, every passenger who steps onto a plane with a boarding pass in hand carries the right to be respected, because someone once dared to say no at 30,000 feet. If you believe that dignity cannot be bought, cannot be bargained, and cannot be taken away, leave a comment with 2 words, dignity first. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to join us for the next stories, where justice is not just a dream, but a legacy carried into the future.